So I don't blame either. I don't blame Bears fans who are like, this is a stupid story, which, again, I count myself in. And I also don't blame journalists being like, we got nothing to talk about, and this is a story that we're going to talk about because there's nothing to talk about right now.
All right, let's get to the topic at hand. Caleb spoke today. There were a lot of Bears fans who are adamant and angry that Caleb did not have to speak, that this was something that we should just move on. Cap was in that boat too. Just move on to Cincinnati. He addressed it head on today. I don't know how much you heard, but what are your thoughts of him addressing everything that was in the Seth Wickersham book?
So, all right, I don't know what he said. I was busy most of the day, so I want to hear what he said. But I stay consistent in that two things can be true at the same time. I think every Bears fan who's like, and I count myself in this camp of like, it's a nothing burger. Every quote that we read was factually correct in the fact that, like, yeah, you should be worried about your destiny being tied to Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. So, like, in that respect, I had no problem with it. I also think it's crazy to be like, he doesn't need to address it and, like, no one needs to talk about it because it's the off season. You know what I mean? Like, that's the NFL is a 365 day a year situation where every story, especially right now, is going to be magnified. So I don't blame either. I don't blame Bears fans who are like, this is a stupid story, which, again, I count myself in. And I also don't blame journalists being like, we got nothing to talk about, and this is a story that we're going to talk about because there's nothing to talk about right now.
But by the way,
both sides can be right.
Yes, totally agree. But Caleb and his father, and I'm not being critical, their choice, they decided to talk to Seth Wickersham. So don't be surprised that if your conversations with an author who's writing a book about quarterbacks becomes a topic of conversation in the third largest market in the National Football League, and oh, by the way, in a city where there's never been a 4,000-yard passer or a guy who threw for 30 touchdowns. So, and listen, I have no problem with him and his dad talking with Seth Wickersham, but I don't think anybody should be surprised that once that conversation takes place that people may have some questions.
Right. And I also understand the sensitivity for most Bears fans where it's like, this is, we are, for the most part, a laughing stock of the national media. So it's like they pick a story and then they poke at us and they say, ha, you guys are idiots. And I get that. Like, that stinks. That absolutely stinks. And there are people who are acting in bad faith who are basically trying to make this a bigger story than it is. But I think the regular journalists, probably our beat writers, are probably doing their job in like, hey, this is a story we got to at least report on.
Big Cat, when you do watch it, since we don't work and you are working all the time, I think you'll like it. As the quarterback, I'll play you one soundbite that we have not played yet. And he came across, I thought, great. This was about his dad. And Charlie, explain, is the question in there or do I need to set it up? You could speak out loud.
Yeah, go ahead and set it up.
Okay, so he was asked the straightforward question, Big Cat, and there were some, of course, on Twitter who didn't like it. Someone just said, like, Caleb, are you your own person? Or does your dad speak for you? Something to that extent. And this is how Caleb responded.
No. No. I actually shut my dad down quite a bit. He has ideas. He's a smart man. And so I listen, and I always listen. And I'm very fortunate to be in this position in the sense of, playing QB, but also very fortunate to have a very strong-minded father. And so, we talk very often. It's like my mom and my dad are my best friends. And so, being able to, have conversations with them to understand that everything they say also is, portrayed on me. So I think that's the part of it. But other than that, no, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm very fortunate to have a father, that's super strong-minded, that's always there, always wants the best for his kid. And I think, any of y'all that has a kid or, anything like that, a niece or nephew that you love so dearly, they try and help and you try and help and put them in positions that it's the best position that you can. So that's all he tries to do. But no, definitely a grown man. And, I shut him down quite a lot just because, in season, out of season, something that you have to do. He cares so much about me and, my future. And we've been along this journey so long together that, all he wants is the best for me. And so if anything happens, he's super high-headed, and it's more of like, all right, like, go ahead and go away, reset and things like that. So love him to death and things like that. And like I said, super fortunate to have him. But, we have talks about it, understanding that, it's a right place and the right time. And then, there's times where it's not.
Big Cat, what'd you think?
I love it. I mean, this is everyone has parents, or a lot of people have parents. If you have kids, you understand this as well from a different angle. Like, a parent-child relationship is never just straightforward. There's some complexity to it, and he's kind of describing that I trust my parents, but I obviously know I also have to do my own thing. Like, that's not easy. You can't just ignore what they say, but you also have to be your own person. So yeah, and I have no problem with the question being asked, because this is actually credit to Caleb for facing this head on. So now it's over. You know what I mean? Like, don't let it linger. Just talk about it, and then it's over.
I don't know about you guys. I get more out of the coach talking than anybody else up in the building right now.
He
because
was great again today.
I don't know as much about him as I do the other folks. So it's not like, I don't mind. I think Caleb always handles himself very well in front of the press in good times and bad times. I just think he's pretty savvy on all that stuff. I don't know a lot about Ben Johnson other than what I've watched him create and coordinate. And I love everything I hear from him. So, I'm more interested in hearing what he has to say before a practice or after practice about where he's headed with this organization than anyone at this point. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but that's where my brain is right now.
I agree with that. And again, let's just all take a step back and remember that it's whatever it is, May 28th or whatever the day is today. Like, this is just the reality of the NFL is such a behemoth, and people are so ravenous for NFL news that anything will get talked about this time of year.
So let's talk about your Cubs instead.
Yeah. How excited are you?
They're so good. They're so much fun. We need a pitcher, Silvy. I don't know what pitcher that's going to be. I know that the name, the Alcantara guy, has been thrown around. He stinks, though, right now.
Yeah,
I think he's stunk again today. Yeah, I like Gossman from the Blue Jays. What are you hearing in that, like, is Jed going to be able to go for this? Because I think we both agree this offense is special, and if you look at, like, the numbers versus, the 2016 World Series team, they're right there with the offense. The difference is, obviously, the 2016 team had some really good starting pitching and bullpen, and so I would hate to waste a season where it's like we can compete with anyone. We just need a couple arms to bolster everything because of the injuries.
Yeah, I get upset over, hey, are they going to pay for Kyle Tucker? You and I are on the same page on that. I get upset when I don't think they go far enough with the payroll in the offseason when they've got a good team. But if they don't do what you're suggesting, when they've already shown they're 13 games over 500, when they show you they've got this really good offense that it's got length from 1 through 9, it's really good. The catchers are contributing. That's not a weakness. They're actually one of the pluses of this team. If they don't go out and add aggressively, because these are the years, like Big Cat Lee, I don't think you and I were fooled 2 years ago when a lot of people are like, we knew what they weren't. But when you are a serious team, that's when I get passionate about adding. So they better add this year.
Yeah, it's you have a team that is, and you're exactly right, because I don't think this is a fluke. I don't think they're, playing well above. Like, obviously, is Pete Crow Armstrong going to hit 45 home runs? Probably not, but he's a hell of a ball player, and so, like, you have these pieces, and you're in a position right now where it's like, go for it. You don't know how many times this happens where you can say, hey, we could go for this thing, and don't do half measures where you're still trying to cut costs and you're still trying to be frugal when you can go potentially win a championship.
On another note, did you get got by a security check today from? Yeah, and like this is what we do. We do all this online security training. Explain to everyone what happened to you today.
So at Barstool, we have a real IT team. We have a real HR. We have all this stuff. Now, I don't participate in any of, like, the HR training. I've been grandfathered in. like there's courses that we're supposed to take. I don't take any of them. I don't click on any of the emails that were sent to us through like the listserv and stuff. Today I saw an email that was like $100 free Uber Eats card, and I clicked on it, and it was a fake phishing scam. There's like, it took me to a pop-up, was like, hey, you just fell for a phishing scam. I think that's crazy. You can't be doing those tricks. That's crazy. $100 free food? I'm going to click on that all day.
Well, this is what has happened in our company. So our company does this. You know, Good Karma Brands owns many radio stations across the country. But in Chicago, I could speak to this, that there are about a half of our staff will not open a single email anymore because they're too scared that they're all fake and that they're all these phishing tests. So now what happens, instead of, while we're not clicking on any phishing, no one's clicking on the emails that really matter, and no one reads their emails anymore.
Right. I don't read any of my emails, but I will say, I guess this applies to Barstool too, but like when you have a company with like Yurko and Waddle, you gotta get your cybersecurity up, because those guys will let anyone in through the front door.
Oh yeah, really? Like I know which email you're not going to open up, the $100 gift card to a massage. That's where I know you're not opening.
Yeah.
I know for $100 worth of free food, you're definitely going to take that hook.
$50 off a Peloton. He's not clicking on that.
Yeah, right. So they got me. Listen, I just will not open any emails anymore.
$50 free bet on the over in tonight's NBA game. You're all over that.
Would have clicked. Yeah, would have clicked. So yeah, I got, but the lesson I learned is don't open any emails ever. So you're right, Sylvie. Like they just got me from, I opted out of pretty much everything. Now I'm opting out of literally everything.
I love that you admit you have no HR training at all, and you don't even respond to things.
None. I will walk by like people at their desk sometime, and I'll see them like watching like a PowerPoint presentation. I'll be like, what is that? And they're like, oh, this is the HR training for like how to be a good employee and like, you know, sexual harassment. I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. So yeah, I have not done that in years.
Big Cat, great stuff. Go get cupped, okay?
Oh, what'd you say?
I'm not getting cuffed.
Cupped.
I'm not getting cuffed.
See you later.
Did you Robert Kraft that massage?
No, hell no. What's wrong with you? And like,
I had to ask.
And there's
people listening right now. People listening right now are like, "Hey, are you going to ask?" And I had to ask.
You had to ask, yeah. No,
I asked the questions that you have to ask. We had the Rockies in the office today. I made it through the whole interview on the yak. We were very nice to him, everything. And then at the end, I was just like, "Hey, do you guys look at the standings ever?" I had to ask. They said
you should have told
so
him just to stay there. Don't bother showing up, because it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Real bad.
Unbelievable. All right, Big Cat, great stuff. Thank you.
Buddy.
All right, see you guys.